Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I'm Aspie and I welcome you all with open arms. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness, sharing my life stories with Aspergers Syndrome, OCD and the like, along with tips and advice along the way, no matter what they are, hopefully based on your general health versus just maybe your mental health state, which is tips and advice maybe along the way and what you guys go through in your everyday life for words of encouragement, support and whatnot. So I'm hoping I'll be your girl. So this one's obviously the second part of the ketogenic diet stuff. I was doing it into hopefully it's just the two parts, so to speak, even though, as I said before, just a heads up before I begin this, I'm no medical doctor, I'm just your normal everyday Joe blog. So if you see any warning signs and symptoms while I present some of these information for you, do seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, as well as second opinion. For, like I say, I forever don't condone any self-harm. So this one's obviously part 2 of the ketogenic diets, which is the myths and misconceptions. Hopefully you're liking these videos. Give me the like to show you're engaging and actually liking them, so I can know, or even just comment below for feedback and whatnot of what you like or what you want to see on my channel. As I said, hopefully as much as I can I'll bring out as much mental health and awareness versus whatever else needs to be shared about. So let's begin this before we go along, even though also just to bear in mind there are 10 myths that I want to dispel right now about this, and hopefully some of that will give you some facts and information about what it really is like. So let's begin this. So myth number 1 of this misconception about the ketogenic diets are carbs are an essential nutrient. The idea that everyone needs to eat carbs to be healthy is simply not true. The common idea is that carbs are essential to provide your body with glucose, which obviously fuels your brain and keeps your blood sugar levels stable and strong. Not only is there no evidence to suggest this though, however, current studies on low carb ketogenic diets has proven this theory to be untrue. When you eat a low carb diet, your body tends to spare glucose because you are sending it to the signal that there is a little of it in the environment. As a result, you start burning fat in the form of ketones for fuel, along with minor amounts of glucose. When you need glucose, the liver can convert protein into it through a process called glucogenesis. Unlike carbs, your body can't create the protein or fat out of thin air. Remember this, obviously, because we need the biochemical agents of the cells and everything else that's in with it. These nutrients are essential. Without them, your body wouldn't have the resources it needs to obviously maintain itself and keep it working functionally every day. As you know, your brain and central nervous system alone contains roughly 3 pounds of the omega-3 fatty acid, which is your DHA. If you aren't supplying your body with a constant source of DHA, however, how do you think your brain and nervous system is doing? Not very well, right? You might feel sluggish, you might pretty much just feel that something's out of whack. You see, carbs themselves aren't inherently bad. People with healthy bodies can tolerate carbohydrates just fine. The real problem is most people are metabolically broken from a lifetime of eating way too many carbs in the form of processed sugar and flour. Their bodies become insulin resistant, meaning that their ability to transport glucose to their cells via insulin is diminished and gone kapoof. So they need even more insulin to get glucose to their cells. When this problem gets bad enough, the pancreas functions poorly or even just chooses to shut itself down. It just can't pump out that much insulin to keep up. This is how someone becomes a type 2 diabetic. If you're someone who can eat large amounts of carbohydrates without huge fluctuations in your blood sugar, then congratulations, you're one of the many that can do this. You're also a small portion of this population that can effectively burn the carbs. If this is you, feel free to eat the carbs on the regular, but I don't recommend it. Just be sure to monitor your blood sugar and hormones on a frequent basis so you know that this way of eating is still healthy for you. Myth number 2, a high fat diet will give you heart disease. This myth has been dated all the way back to the year of 1940 somewhere. During this time, a man named Ansel Keys did some really poor research and came up with a theory that he called the lipid hypothesis, as well as many other hypotheses. but I'll just bring this one out from what I've read out to you. His theory said that eating saturated fats and dietary cholesterol would put people at risk for heart attacks and other cardiovascular diseases. Although fat diet was proposed as a healthy diet, products like butter, tallow, lard, and coconut oil were no longer eaten in the liberal quantities they had been in the past years. People became scared of eating fat. Hydrogenated fats like canola oil, safflower oil, and sunflower oil were introduced as the new healthy fats instead of the horrible saturated fats. People also started consuming a large amount of grain, corn, and soy to replace the more wholesome animal foods like your meat, eggs, fish, and chicken. And pharmaceutical companies developed statins which were said to lower cholesterol and prevent this heart disease. Now, almost 70 years on, we've got some data to look back on. Turns out that many of the diseases which plague mankind today, like heart disease and cancer, actually became more prominent when healthy saturated fats and cholesterol had taken off of the diet completely and was replaced with hydrogenated fats and grains. A low-fat diet that focuses mainly on grains and hydrogenated oils like canola oil and sunflower oil contains a large amount of omega-6 fatty acids. When these fats are excess in the body, they cause inflammation, heart disease, cancer, hormonal disruption, and many other health-prone problems. And when you eat large amount of carbs, your body converts the excess glucose into triglycerides. Triglycerides are unhealthy cholesterol particles that your doctor constantly warns you about. Stop and reflect on that for a second. The diet that doctors have been telling us to eat for 70 plus years is causing the disease it was created to prevent. This should be a wake-up call to those of you who blindly trust your doctors. If you really wanted to be healthy, you need to take the time to understand the basics of the human body and how to keep it healthy, as well as all these nutrients and of the micro and macronutrients, how the biochemical of the body works. Modern research also shows fats like coconut oil, butter, lard, and tallow are actually healthy for you. In fact, you need saturated fats for brain health. A significant portion of the brain is made up of saturated fat. Do you want to go light on the materials that make up your brain? I don't think not. Hormonal health. Your hormones are created from cholesterol. Without an adequate amount of cholesterol, you lack the necessary building blocks to create your hormones. Since hormones influence all the organs in your body, skimping on cholesterol is a big no-no. Strong bones. You need saturated fats to incorporate calcium into your bones. And I've said, lung health. Your lungs are coated with a thin layer of lung surfactant. It is made of 100% saturated fatty acids. If you're not eating enough saturated fat, your body will replace it with these other types of fats which aren't optimal, and as a result will cause breathing difficulties, so on and so forth. Another food for thought though, just to bear in mind though, he obviously, Ansel Benjamin Keyes obviously was an American psychologist who studied the influence of diet on health. In particular, he hypothesized that dietary saturated fats causes cardiovascular heart disease and should be avoided. Okay, obviously what is illustrated here is also Keyes studied starvation in men and published The Biology of Human Starvation in the year of 1950, which remains the only source of its kind. He examined the epidemiology of cardiovascular disease and was responsible for two famous diets, the K-rations, formulated balanced meals for combat soldiers in World War II, and the Mediterranean diet, which he popularized with his wife Margaret. Science, diet, and health were central themes in his professional and private lives. Obviously, basically, also the development of K-rations, obviously in 1936, if you want to know more, Keyes was offered a position at the Mayo Foundation in Rochester, where he could continue to carry out his studies in physiology. He left after years, citing an intellectually stifling environment where research was secondary to clinical business and playing bridge. In 1937, he would leave the Mayo Foundation for the University of Minnesota to teach physiology. He founded the Laboratory of Physiological Hygiene there. His earlier research on human physiology eventually led to an assignment with the Army Quartermaster Corps, where they worked to develop a more portable a non-perishable ration that would provide enough calories to sustain the soldiers such as paratroopers in the field for up to 2 weeks. This development didn't begin without some turbulence, however. His colleague Dr. Ellsworth notes, when it appeared that the US would be in route, Keyes went to the Quartermaster Food and Container Institute in Chicago to inquire about emergency rations. The story goes that he was told to go home and leave such things to the professionals. Undissuaded, he went to William Wrigley's office and secured $10,000 for the development of an emergency ration. Then he went to the Cracker Jacks company. They couldn't supply money, but did provide the watertight small box concept. The result was the K-ration was sealed in Cracker Jack boxes. Obviously, also during the time of the starvation studies, as the article was, from what I can recall, was called Minnesota Starvation Experiment. But just in brief, during World War II, Keyes produced various studies related to human physical performance that were of interest to the military, such as studying the effects of testosterone on muscle work and vitamin supplementation as a performance enhancer on adequately fed soldiers, among many other similar studies. It was during this time at the war that Keyes and his fellow researchers recognized the importance of knowing how to properly treat widespread starvation, since simple overfeeding for so many would be imprecise and there was a potential that the refeeding would fail. To gain insight into the physiology of starvation, in 1944, Keyes carried out a starvation study with 36 conscientious objectors as test subjects in the Minnesota Starvation Experiment. At that time, conscientious objectors were being placed in virtual concentration camps, with a few functioning like the civilian public service, so that recruiting them would prove easier than seeking out volunteers in the general population. The original pool of 400 responders was reduced to 36 selectees, of whom 32 would go on to complete the study. The main focus of the study was threefold: set a metabolic baseline for 3 months, physical and mental effects of starvation on the volunteers for 6 months, and then study the physical and mental effects of different refeeding protocols on them for 3 months. The participant would be first placed on the 3 months baseline diet of 3,200 calories, after which their calories were reduced to 1,800 calories per day, while expending 300 calories in activities such as walking. The final 3 months were a refeeding period where the volunteers were divided into 4 groups, each receiving a different caloric intake. So therefore, basically, as you can see, there was more to it than what it's saying. Myth number 3, ketosis is dangerous. For whatever reason, people can't stop confusing the word ketoacidosis with ketosis. Ketosis is defined as a metabolic state where the body burns ketones instead of glucose for the fuel source. Ketoacidosis, however, is a state where the body is producing an excessively high amount of ketone bodies. It's mostly commonly found among untreated type 1 diabetes mellitus patients, however, and alcoholics. Since the body is no longer able to regulate ketone production, the pH of the blood will change drastically, which begins to cause all sorts of dysfunction in the body. Eating a ketogenic diet is highly unlikely to cause ketoacidosis, unless you already have an existing health problem that relates to this. Myth number 4, a low-carb diet is a nutrient-deficient diet. A well-formulated ketogenic diet contains all the nutrients your body needs to function optimally and up to date. Obviously, let's just take a look quickly at some of the nutrient-rich foods that is allowed on the ketogenic diet, which are the following: your beef, your shellfish, fish, pork, chicken. Of all these foods containing very high amounts of vitamins and minerals. For example, we can look at beef. Beef is rich in the minerals of zinc, iron, selenium, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, and copper. It also contains high amounts of B12, B6, riboflavin, thiamine, and pantothenic acid. And it's a complete source of essential proteins and essential fatty acids. Now consider that as a low carb diet that consists of vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, eggs, oils such as your butter, lard, and coconut oil. If you eat these along with the animal products as mentioned above, you will be guaranteed to get a variety of vitamins and minerals. Myth number 5, your kidneys will be damaged from high protein consumption. The ketogenic diet is a high fat diet, it's a no given. not a high protein diet. In fact, high protein levels actually prevent you from being in the state of ketosis. If you want to remain in ketosis, I recommend you should consume moderate amounts of protein, but then again, I advise you not to. There are always a few studies that show there is no evidence, however, that eating excessive amounts of protein has a harmful effect on your kidney functions. Comparative effects of low carbohydrate, high protein versus low fat diets on the kidney, dietary protein intake, and renal function. Myth number 6, the weight loss from low carb diets is only water loss, not the fat loss. There's no doubt that you'll lose some weight as a result of water loss when you switch to a low carb diet, but that doesn't mean that it's the only kind of weight loss you'll experience, however. Cutting back on carbs causes your body to lose water because your blood sugar, insulin, and glycogen stores are getting used. Glycogen is excess sugar that's stored in your muscles and liver. When your blood sugar and insulin is low, your kidneys excrete extra water and sodium. For this reason, eating a low carb diet is effective for people that needs to reduce water retention and blood pressure. Once your body becomes adapted to burning fat, water loss stabilizes. When you've reached this mark, your body is burning fat as the primary source of fuel, so you'll start losing fat faster. Myth number 7, complex carbohydrates are healthy to include in your diet. Carbohydrates break down into glucose in the bloodstream, regardless of what they come in. Sure, complex carbs like your oats and rice are better than eating processed sugars, but either way, they will sure to raise your blood glucose as well and call on the need for insulin. And if your body is metabolically broke, like we discussed in my myth number 1 and point 1 of this video, the effects of the sugar is having on your organs are too temperamental to continue eating it. So, check this out for something to remember. If you are healthy enough to process carbs, you should be able to eat them without spiking your blood sugar levels beyond 110 to 120 milligrams per deciliter. After an hour or two, it should go back down to around 70 to 85 milligrams per deciliter. If you can't process carbs an hour after eating, you'll have a blood sugar of higher than 100 milligrams per deciliter, and then another hour later you might dip into the 60 milligrams per deciliter. Don't worry, eating a low carb ketogenic diet could help fix your metabolism if you haven't gone too far. Myth number 8, a low carb diet is low in fiber. Here's a list of vegetables from the food list that I will clearly suggest. These are just some of the foods you can eat on a low carb diet that has fiber. If you include fruit, nuts, and vegetables, you're getting even more fiber. Your vegetables such as your alfalfa sprouts, asparagus, bamboo shoots, bean sprouts, beet greens, bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, celery, collard greens, cucumber, eggplant, endive, green bean, kale, lettuce, mushrooms, mustard greens, olives, onions, oregano, parsley, pickles and radish, sauerkraut, seaweed, spinach, spring onion, scallion, sugar pea, sweet peppers, tomato, watercress and zucchini. Myth number 9, low carb is the best for everyone. Let's be real here. Not low carb is best for everyone. Everyone's different on the scheme of things, on the way of their dietary needs and requirements are. So it may be this form of type of belief, however, that is pretty common across many types of diets, such as maybe your vegan, paleo, raw vegan, vegetarian, low carb, ketogenic, etc. Everybody thinks their diet is best, so there is no given which one is best because of the arguments for sake. Many doctors explicitly state that the ketogenic diet is not for everyone, however, so bear in mind, seek your doctor before going onto this diet. The common theory is that growing children, young adults and athletes could continue to eat carbs if they tolerate them well. Few reasons for this are growing children do better with more protein intake. Athletes use up glucose and glycogen a lot faster than those who don't exercise as often. That being said though, however, there is some research that has shown that children who grow up on a ketogenic diet with epilepsy will develop normally. Check out the Charlie Foundation to learn more. And then there are some people, for whatever reason it may be, just don't get good results or feel better on a low carb or ketogenic diet. To determine if this is for you, as I said, it's important to work with your doctor and actually seek doctor for advice, as well as your dietitian who is familiar with this low carb or ketogenic diets. He or she will be able to look into your blood works and see if the diet is beneficial for you. Last but not least, myth number 10, a low carb diet should always be a ketogenic diet. or ketogenic I should say. A ketogenic diet is a diet where carbs are restricted to 50 grams or less in order to maintain a state of prolonged ketosis. This method is used for people who are suffering from, as I mentioned, metabolic disorders, diabetes, epilepsy, depression, anxiety, ADHD, inflammation, Parkinson's, other diseases, and some people who eat a ketogenic diet because that's when they feel and look and perform their best, including improvement of the cholesterol, lipid profile, and hypertension. However, a low carb diet is a diet where carbs are restricted to 175 grams or less. It turns out to some people are better off with a little more carbs in their diet compared to a high carb diet. There are many great health benefits to eating this way. To figure out what's best for you, do experiment, however, and do bear in mind to answer these questions for yourself. Just to end this, which diet makes you feel better? Which diet do you sleep best with? Does one diet make you feel better than the other? Do you recover faster from the workouts on one diet to the other? Also, get your blood work done. Which diet improves your biomarkers the most? There are many other reasons that you need saturated fats and other healthy fats, but I'll leave this all for now, basically, so I don't bore you. So this quickly ends basically the second part of the ketogenic diet, the myths and misconceptions. Give me a like for thumbs up for support, comment below. Feel free to share these videos around. Feel free to follow me on my social media sites. Feel free to also share these videos around, as well as subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, to keep up to date what I've been up to and whatnot. Feel free to turn on the notification bell so you can keep up to date with the new videos that keeps being posted whenever I get the chance to, on the weekly or daily. So all for the day, guys. Thanks for the support, thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing up. See you all again soon.